Good evening, Superintendent, student representative, and board trustees. I want to say it is refreshing to see new faces and different personalities on this board. I'm looking forward to new leadership, much like we have in the current White House. I wish all of us good luck as we face evil in our world. Today, I will continue to push for parental rights and the downfall of the woke agenda. We must restore early philosophy, bring back moral code, religion, morality, and knowledge. Thank you for letting me speak.
Hello, my name is Matthew Garrett. I'm a recently retired professor of history, educational consultant, and father of 3 young ladies who are currently being educated here in Kern County. And as I've taught American history at Bakersfield College, I have noticed over and over again, semester after semester, one huge hole in the knowledge of the students who are graduating out of the high schools and are coming to the college. And that is semester after semester, I get to teaching American history, and I eventually cover the American South. We talk about plantations and slavery. And I ask my students each semester, what makes slavery wrong? I mean, certainly we all agree that slavery is wrong, right? But what makes it wrong? Why is it wrong? Can you give me a good reason why slavery is wrong? And time and again, students simply say, well, it just is. They've lost the capacity to understand why they believe what they believe. And I think that's a problem. Now, the real answer to that question, in case you're wondering, is that it violates a more basic fundamental principle of our system. That our system, our government, our society was founded on ideas such as all men are created equal by a creator. All men and women are equal. We have unalienable rights. That's Thomas Jefferson has written in our Declaration of Independence, and it carries through into our judicial system. Equality is our guiding light. Somehow they lost that. Maybe it's partially because the next question is a little disturbing. Well, where did Thomas Jefferson get that information from? Where did that idea come from? And that takes us back to our Judeo-Christian roots, which are really inappropriate in education, right? We can't talk about those. There's been this mistaken belief that we somehow can't talk about religion, and as a result, religion has been exiled from the history books in a way that's really inappropriate. Religion was powerful in moving past people in American history. It drove them, it helped them to make the decisions that led them to create the world we live in. And so we ought not be afraid of religion. Certainly we don't want to live in a theocracy right now, but we do need to recognize that religion's important. And getting back to those values that are articulated in the 10 Commandments and the Judeo-Christian roots is valuable in helping people, our students, our community, understand why slavery's wrong, why discrimination's wrong, why racism's wrong. They need to be able to understand the roots of the things they believe in. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm an expert and educator regarding the harms of pornography for children through adults. And I just wanted to say a few things about that. 1 in 3 kids say they've seen explicit hardcore porn by the age of 12. That means even younger than 12 have been introduced to hardcore pornography, which equates to roughly 25 million children in the US. 44% of males ages 11 through 16 who saw hardcore pornography said it gave them ideas about the type of sex they wanted to try. 88% of pornography scenes contain sexual violence against women. A study of 14 to 19-year-olds found that females who consume pornographic videos were at a significantly greater risk of being victims of sexual harassment or sexual assault. Many kids and teens who view pornography grow into adults who continue to view it. Many of these men will become buyers of trafficked victims, creating this never-ending cycle of demand here in the US. Many of these men and or women will move into downloading and distributing child pornography. I've met with Mr. Mendeborough last year asking to present harms of pornography to your staff and age-appropriate curriculum to your students. He shrugged it off, saying there's really no need because they have great filtering systems in place. With all respect, I was very grateful to have that time to meet with him, but I was rather disappointed that it was shrugged off to just simply filtering systems on the school computers. The education of human trafficking in schools is urgent, just as the education of the harms of pornography is as well. So we don't continue to raise up buyers of sex-trafficked minors and adults. Thank you for giving me this time and listening.
Thank you, Tanya.
Hello, Board. Thank you for this opportunity. Good evening to each one of you. I wanted to talk briefly a little bit about our religious freedoms, our religious liberties in regards to our Ten Commandments interests. Since the early 1960s through late 1990s, controversies over public religious expressions have been among the most frequent to rise to the U.S. Supreme Court. During this period, our nation witnessed 9 justices determine how, where, when, and if public religious activities will occur. For example, in 1965, Stein versus Oshinsky ruling, which stated that freedoms of speech and press are guaranteed to students and teachers unless the topic is religious. At the time, such speech becomes unconstitutional. In another example, Stone versus Graham, 1980, it was determined that it was unconstitutional for students to see the Ten Commandments since they might read, meditate upon, respect, or obey them. The Supreme Court arrived at this position through its usage of the phrase separation of church and state. With these words as its standard, the court began declaring many American customs and traditions unconstitutional. Through the continuous usage over recent decades, the separation language has now come so commonplace that many Americans believe it to be a constitutional phrase found in the First Amendment. It is not. The amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. You see, our founders said no to a government-controlled church like Great Britain had used to persecute, tax, and control its people. The phrase separation of church and state became the standard for the judicial policy in 1947 in the Everson versus Board of Education when the court announced the First Amendment has erected a wall between church and state. That wall must be kept high and impregnable. You see, the court added that to our First Amendment in 1947 and ignored its original intent. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is unconstitutional. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Jan Lundy. Sorry I had to come from so far over there. I have been thinking about this issue of the Ten Commandments, and it has taken me back to my days of teaching second grade. One of the things that we covered in second grade was the rainforest, and we would talk about and read about also the different layers of the rainforest and the plants that grew at each level and the animals that lived there. And after we did all of that, we would color a picture showing these animals and plants, and we would put them into a book, and the kids got to take them home the night of open house at the end of the year. And that was so much fun. Those are some of my best memories of teaching. But it took a lot of time to do that, to fit in coloring. And then as there was more and more testing required, we didn't have time to do that anymore. We just read out of a book. Fast forward a few years, I thought if someone had told me I had to teach the Ten Commandments, I would say, well, okay, I would love to do that, but what am I not going to teach then? Because there was not enough time to teach everything we were required to teach. And I just think that that's something that we need to consider. Not necessarily teaching it. One thing about the rainforest or the Ten Commandments is you can work it in with American history. So it wouldn't take nearly as much time as we spent on coloring rainforest books, although that was a lot more fun. And I've been told by a couple of sources that where the Ten Commandments are posted in various states and schools, that the students' grades have increased greatly, have gone up. And if that's true, that's the only reason I need right there to say, boy, let's post the Ten Commandments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
Paula Bray. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I come before you not as a politician, not as an activist, but as a concerned member of our community who believes in the boundless potential of our students. Kern County is home to bright, talented, and hardworking children who deserve every opportunity to succeed. But the reality is, too many of our students are struggling with basic literacy and numeracy skills. According to recent data, only about 38% of our students meet basic standards in English language arts, and math proficiency remains even lower. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent real children who are falling behind, children who are losing confidence, and who may face a lifetime of obstacles if we do not take action. Education is a great equalizer. It opens doors, it creates opportunities, and it lifts families out of poverty. But without strong foundational skills in reading, writing, and math, our students will continue to face barriers to higher education and meaningful careers. And that is why I urge you today to focus on what truly matters, investing in the academic success of our children. We have the power to make a difference. And while we may have discussions about various symbolic measures in our schools, let's be clear. Posting the 10 Commandments in classrooms will not teach a child to read. It will not help them solve a math problem. It will not prepare them for college or the workforce. What will? Investing in proven, research-based strategies that directly support student achievement. Tonight, I wear a pink triangle to honor our brothers and sisters of the trans community. This is a group of people who the current occupant of the Oval Office believes that he has caused to cease to exist with the stroke of a pen. This pink triangle is to remind you that these people exist and that they are members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
I've noticed that our new President Trump has been doing some pretty major things lately. And I had a question about the fact that he signed an executive order to dissolve the United States Department of Education, and wondering how that would affect us and Kern County. And you don't have to answer right now if you're not sure, but I'd like to find out information about that. Oh, you've got it. It's reading my mind. That's perfect.
The president has announced looking at the Department of Education and phasing that out. What does that mean for us? We're not quite sure yet. What we have heard is that the dollars and the funds is not what he wants to get rid of. It's the level from the federal, because the Constitution is established that it goes to the states, not the federal. But then there's some back and forth about then every state, there might not be any requirements that trigger for the federal, but we're not sure exactly. Some talk was money will come from the Treasury Department straight to the state, and then the states can do what they need to do with those dollars. But he has no intention of, as of right now, ending funding to the states. It's just the Department of Education per se. So that's that. As more information comes, we will definitely be bringing it to you because it will impact not only this board, but it will impact all of our school districts in Kern County that receive federal dollars. Our programs here are very limited on the federal dollars. It's not tied to anything that he's eliminating or tied to any other type of strings. We get very limited dollars here at the Kern County Superintendent Schools office.
Is there any way to educate the teachers or the public about that? I've had several teachers contact me and say, you know, I'm so worried we're going to lose special education and they're in a panic with this.
Yeah, once we get more clarity on it, we plan on getting it out to all the districts. We talked with the superintendents last week. I know Carlos Rojas will talk at the school board's dinner, particularly around this area, and we're hoping to find out some more information by then. But we will
Okay.
communicate out to calm nerves once we know, because we don't really want to send messages in regards to that at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think more than anything. I think more than, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, I think more than anything else, it is the uncertainty right now. We watched a very dynamic individual at the helm of our country who's moving very, very quickly, moving really quickly. I'm not quite so sure what to think about it myself as I'm watching this happen. But even so, I'm going to put my faith in God and keep my powder dry.
Go ahead.
So when federal funding comes down, it comes to the county, and then we put that out to those programs, correct?
The federal dollars will come to the state of California, and then it is allocated to the county, then it's sent from there to the various districts. So school districts receive a lot more federal dollars than we do at the county level, because federal dollars are tied to actual students, and we only have the limited programs of alt ed, and
Right.
so that's where we get our dollars from.
That's a good point. Thank you.
But does it, I mean, like our special ed program?
We receive special education. It goes to the state of California. The state of California will funnel it to us through AB
But
602.
even-
So
but
it's,
still federal fund going to the
there's a portion of
state
that comes
towards
to us, yes.
But not much.
But not much. It's the
Okay.
IDEA dollars.
All right.
But it's every dollar helps.
Thank you.
And that I don't think is going to go away. We'll see. A couple of executive orders that were signed by the president. One was in regards to expanding educational freedom and opportunities for families. On January 29th, the president did sign an executive order that supports parents in directing the upbringing of education of their children and tasks multiple cabinet secretaries to evaluate and propose plans to expanding opportunities for parents to choose where and how their children are educated. So we'll see how that rolls out. Another executive order that affects education will be the ending of indoctrination within the K-12 schooling. It also impacts women's sports and prohibits trans men from participating in women's sports. The caveat is that every state does have their own policies in regards to that at the high school level. This is more at the higher, we're seeing collegiate and stuff respond, but high schools within K-12 within certain states still have to follow the state education department. So California has a law that is opposite of what the president just signed. So we're going to see how that will balance out. The temporary freeze that stopped, it was rescinded for federal funding, and none of that was to impact schools, even though there was word that it affected schools. The federal funding did not at that time.